Hi, I'm Nancy McCaochan, and welcome to Living Karma Yoga. This is a program about all that the yoga world has to offer, from posture, which is the asana, and that's what most people do when they go to a yoga class, is they work on their physical bodies. But there's so much more. There's meditation, breathing practices called pranayama, mudras, mantra, which are words that are pronounced, and most of the time it's in Sanskrit or Gurmukhi or another language, that help to stimulate the brain. And then there's lifestyle, Ayurveda, cooking, which is part of the Ayurveda, a sister science to yoga, and travel, and so very, very much more to help you take your yoga off the mat and into your lives. Yoga helps us be more centered. It helps us create fluidity and freedom in the body and in the mind, and it helps us create lives of prosperity and abundance and joy, and that's all things that we so very truly deserve. So I hope you will enjoy this segment. My guest today is Patricia Scott. Patricia found yoga almost 30 years ago when she stumbled into a Kripalu yoga class and discovered the peace created by breath and mindful movement. There are many styles of yoga, and Kripalu's one of the most famous. Patricia completed her teacher training in 2011 with Catherine Austin, has been teaching for the past 5-6 years now, isn't it?
Yes.
She loves the deep stillness of yin, another hatha yoga style, the slow and dynamic karma yoga and karma yoga too, as well as teaching prenatal yoga. Patricia is also a Martha Beck certified life coach, helping people with chronic pain conditions unlearn their pain through coaching and movement. And finally, Patricia is a Reiki practitioner, a practice that her yin students appreciate when they receive Reiki energy during her Wednesday evening class. Yin and Reiki are the perfect combination, she believes, for deep peace and healing. Patricia, you've said that Reiki is a simple practice that benefits everybody. Yet it seems that because it works with subtle energies, that it's energies that many of us can't touch, taste, feel, or see. So it's a bit mysterious to most people. Can you explain what it is?
Well, it's a bit mysterious.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Reiki is a very old system of energy healing.
Okay.
And what a Reiki practitioner does is actually tap into a universal energy, which is what Reiki means. Rei is universal, Ki is energy, so it's universal energy. And we tap into that universal energy and literally bring it through our bodies and through our hands. And so in a Reiki treatment, and I know what you mean when you say, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't feel it, but you can feel the heat of it, or like the byproduct of the energy. You can feel the heat. And so what a recipient feels is they feel a Reiki practitioner's hot hands. All right, and so what that is it's just Reiki flowing through the practitioner, through the palms of the hands, and into the recipient, the person recipient. So it is kind of mysterious. I mean, where does this energy come from? How is it that it's so common and so many people use it? I mean, truly, Reiki is all over the world, and we wouldn't even have Reiki if it wasn't for a particular woman who lived in Hawaii after World War II. So, I mean, it's miraculous and mundane at the same time.
That's really cool. And I remember, it's kind of like the Christian's laying on of hands.
Yes.
Okay. And my first practice, or my first Reiki session, I felt some coolness too. So sometimes the energy comes through that's cool, isn't it?
Yes, that's true. I had a student one time when I was teaching a training, and everybody was saying, "Oh my gosh, my hands are so hot, my hands are so hot," and he said, "My hands are cold." So it's an intelligent energy, so if a person needs the coolness, that's what they receive. If they need the warmth, that's what they receive.
I
Yes.
remember too, when my friend was finished, it felt like and I was having a lot of TMJ, the jaws feeling
Yeah.
really locked. And at one time, her hands were on my face, and I felt as though I had a mask on that was just cracking open. And so the energy was helping me unmask, basically, and get down to something that was much more real.
I love that. I love that because that is what Reiki does. You know, I just had a loss, right? A very deep loss. Somebody who I love very much just died. And for the last couple of months, I have been raking my own heart. I've had a similar kind of experience where I feel, and I'm going to say I feel my heart breaking, but that's not exactly what I felt. It's like that unmasking you were talking about, is I felt my heart expand.
Okay.
I felt my heart, you know, get stronger. I felt, you know.
And so a shell is breaking open.
Yes, like a shell. Perfect.
Right.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to say it.
So you were just telling me off screen how you became interested in Reiki. Can you tell the audience that?
You know, and I had heard of Reiki for decades now. You know, I've always been in this community. I've heard about Reiki, and I never really was attracted to Reiki until this very friend that I was just telling you about. He had cancer. And I had heard through somebody that while, you know, there's no claims that Reiki cures cancer, but there is evidence that Reiki will help with the, you know, the aftermath of chemotherapy, the aftermath of radiation will generally help a cancer patient feel better. And I wanted to do that for my friend. I wanted to do that. So I contacted another friend, an instructor at Karma Yoga, and I said, I know you're a Reiki master, tell me about this. And she did. It turned out that one of the premier Reiki educators in the world is right here in Southfield, Michigan.
Really?
Yeah, William Lee Rand. So when I started looking, I thought, well, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for my friend. And when I started looking, I found that the training was right here in Southfield.
Wow.
So I went immediately and got my level 1-2, and then you have to wait 6 months to become a master. But after level 1-2, you have the ability to send Reiki long distance. Now, my friend lived in Lansing, and so I thought, okay, this is perfect. I will just simply Reiki him every single night. And that's what I did. I just sent the Reiki long distance. Yeah.
You know, that sounds, and I have a friend who does that to her daughter, but it sounds really preposterous.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, is it sounds preposterous in this reality, right? But the truth is we are all energetic beings.
Right.
And we live in an energetic soup, so to speak. So when in Reiki we have certain symbols. That's how Reiki, we place the symbols into our own energy fields. That's how we end up channeling, and I use that word really loosely, but we end up channeling that energy. So there is a symbol, what's called a distance symbol, and that allows a Reiki practitioner to tap into the soup and literally send the energy wherever you direct it to go. So you use, you know, the regular Reiki symbols, the long distance symbol, and then you do it. The other thing that I do that is kind of funny is I get a stuffed teddy bear, right? Which is the human body, right? And so instead of, because I'm not in the presence of the person, I would put the teddy bear on my lap, I would place my hand. So technically I'm giving Reiki to a stuffed animal, right? But because of the energetic, you know, we are all connected, and because of the energetics, Mark received that Reiki in Lansing while I gave it
And
here
was
in
he
Lansing.
able to feel it? Did he
Yes,
say yes?
yes. It made him sleepy, is what
Okay.
he used to say. And we got to the point where I would say, okay, I'm going to start in a half an hour, and he would go around and get whatever he could get done, and then lay down, and then it made him sleepy. Yeah, because it's very deeply relaxing.
It's really beautiful. And one of the things that yoga tells us is that, and some other systems too, is that the power of our minds and our thoughts, and also the thoughts powered by love and the heart space,
Yeah.
have extreme creative ability.
Yes.
And so working through the energy field, kind of like the proverbial butterfly wings, creating a storm or a cyclone on the other side of the world,
Yes.
that energetic thought, or just pushing a hand out with intention, creates a field that somebody can receive. Is that kind of the same thing?
That is the same thing. That's exactly the same thing. And we can't see it. We can't feel, I mean, we can feel it, but we're based in our senses, and we are so much more powerful than we realize when we start, like you said, moving with intention and using the energy field so that people can get healed. Yeah.
Right, and our senses have a very small range of ability to perceive. And I don't remember numbers at all, so I can't remember what decibels are ears or what frequencies of light the eyes, the visible spectrum. But there's so much more. It's almost like we're living in a cave in our own bodies, and we can't experience anything else. I think Plato once talked about the allegory of the cave, that we're living in a cave, and there's a fire behind us, and it's projecting shadows on the wall, and that's what we think reality is.
Yes,
and it's
exactly.
that sense of, I don't know, myopia, in the sense of very, very short-sighted, because of the restrictions built in with our physical body.
Exactly.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So I'm going to shift. You mentioned a woman in Hawaii who started Reiki.
It's such a great story. I mean, this is when you think, Reiki's meant to be. It was meant to survive. The most common kind of Reiki that's practiced here in the West is called Usui Reiki. And that is named after a man who lived in Japan he was born in 1865, and he died in the 1920s. And his name was Mikao Usui. And he went, he was a seeker. He was a very smart man, a very successful man, but he truly wanted his own enlightenment. And he worked and he worked and he worked for his own enlightenment. And it wasn't happening for him. So he went to a Zen master and he said, okay, so what do I need to do? And the Zen master told him, you need to be willing to die for your own enlightenment.
Wow.
And Mikao Usui said, okay. And he climbed a sacred mountain, and he spent 21 days in the mountain preparing to die. He fasted, he meditated, he was there for 21 days preparing to die. And over the course of 21 days, he became weaker, right? He's not drinking, he's not eating. And on the 21st day, he's ready to die. And he wakes up, and he is hit by a light that comes in through the top of his head and knocks him out flat on the ground. And when he wakes up, he is enlightened. He has attained enlightenment. He's so excited that he runs down the mountain and he trips on some tree roots that are sticking up out of the ground, and he hurts his foot. And so what does he do? He does what we all do, right? We hurt our toe, we hurt our foot, we take our hands, we grab that, and the Reiki started to run. And he realized, and his foot felt better. And he realized—
Sounds like something out of Star Wars.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. And he realized that he had been given this huge gift, right?
Wow, right.
So he went into his town, and he realized that this was his purpose in life, that he was made to be a healer. And he opened up a clinic, and he started doing Reiki, and he was very, very successful. His clinic was very successful. And then in 1925, there was an earthquake and a fire in Japan. And so in the aftermath, Usui Sensei is what Reiki
Right.
practitioners call him. He went out into, the streets because people were, suffering and
Right.
hurt. And he found himself at one point with one foot on one person, one foot on another person, one hand here, and then beaming Reiki through his eyes. And he realized that he had to teach other people how to do this, right? Because he's one person.
Right.
So he began to, teach people. One of the people that he taught was a doctor, a medical doctor named Hayashi. And Dr. Hayashi, he opened a clinic as well after Usui Sensei died. And he opened a clinic as well, and he was training people as well. Now, he did something really, really interesting, because what he would do is he started researching what hand positions would treat what conditions, right? And he made, he wrote this guide, treatment guide. There was a woman a Japanese woman in Hawaii who became a widow, and she had all kinds of physical things going on. And because her husband was now dead, she went back to Japan to be with her parents, and she ended up in Hayashi's clinic and was so astounded by what was going on there, her own healing, other people's healing, that she wanted to stay and do it too. And he trained her. Now, her name is Mrs. Takata.
Okay.
She went back to Hawaii, opened up a clinic as well, and started treating people in Hawaii. Then World War II happened, and through circumstances, Hayashi ended up committing ritual suicide because he had lost faith, which is another story, but I won't get into it. But he ended up committing ritual suicide, and then the United States, of course, after World War II, took over Japan. And what they said, what the United States imposed on Japan, they said all healers need to be licensed. All right?
Of course.
Yeah, of course, right? So Reiki went underground, all right? But Mrs. Takata in Hawaii wasn't under those rules.
Okay.
So she taught people, she had students, they went on to teach other people, and it's because of her that we have Reiki. Yes, I know. Isn't that amazing? So I always, when I think, okay, that, she was the teacher, it had to happen the way it happened for Reiki to survive. Now, my teacher, William Lee Rand, he studied with people who studied with Takata.
Okay.
So he's in that next generation the second generation underneath her. So
we're running out of time a little bit, although I don't see the
clock yet.
But I want to come down to some questions like, how is Reiki helpful? I think you've answered that a little bit, and is it helpful for everybody? I think that's
that's a really great question, because in my practice now, in my Reiki practice, I find that some people are helped and some people are not.
Okay.
And so I say, okay, what's the difference between somebody who is helped, somebody who gets relief, and somebody who does not? And what I've come to, and I could be entirely wrong, okay? But what I've come to is that the people that it doesn't help on some level, whether it's subconsciously or even consciously, they do not want to receive.
Okay.
Okay, they're not open to receiving. And when we think about our society, in our society, we are not open to receiving. We're open to giving, taking. But what about receiving? Just opening up to receive. And people have difficulty with that. What happens over time, if they will stick with it, the Reiki itself will open them up to receive, but it takes time, 5, 6, maybe 7 treatments before they're open. Then on the other hand, I've had people who I've treated them once, they get up off the table, they're going, wow, I feel so good. And that's what I think the difference is because they came and said, basically heal me. I'm willing.
And I have an anecdote for that too. Before I moved to Michigan, I was living in Southern Ohio, and human life, you have a lot of aches and pains and things, and I was exploring different healing modalities. And one of the things that I discovered was I was taking Qigong and various yoga classes and other things, and one of the things that I discovered is it really didn't matter what I did what I felt like when I went into class, if I let go of control.
Yes.
Whatever modality was offered to me was helpful.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
And which is one of the reasons that I find it difficult to practice at home, frankly. This is like wow, I'm outing myself, I guess, as a yoga teacher, that I don't have a strong home practice other than meditation, because I don't give up the control unless I'm going to a class and I say, okay, now you tell me what to do.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. And then it kind of doesn't matter because you can get at things, whatever. So I think your point about receiving, and it's receiving, it's opening up that shell, or being willing to open up the shell and let another energy come in. And a lot of us are do-it-yourself people, self-made people.
Self-made.
We're not going to ask for help.
Exactly. Exactly. So if we can shift our mind,
right?
Reiki can help everyone,
right?
But it doesn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you answered about sessions. So how do you use it in your Reiki class, in your yoga classes?
Oh my gosh. Well, my yin class,
right.
Where you take a posture and you hold it for a long period of time. My purpose in teaching yin is to bring people into balance. Okay. Because our lives are go, 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 do, 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 do. And there's very little place where we can be still.
And let me just tell the audience, yin is a practice in which you hold a posture a long time. Rather than moving from one to another, say in a minute or two, you might hold something for 3, 5, or 7 minutes.
Yeah, okay. You hold for a long time. It's in that hold, where people have difficulty. It is difficult for us to hold still for 5 minutes.
Or even 5 seconds.
Or even 5, yeah. So what I do in class is, and I don't just pick people who, seem restless, everybody. But what I do in class is I will, turn it on, so to speak. I will bring my Reiki in, and then I simply place a hand on their back, their shoulder, their, a leg, just so that they have that additional sensation of relaxation, of comfort, and that is what they get. Now, I do ask permission. Some people do not want to be touched.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, and especially when, when you say it sounds something like Star Wars, that sounds preposterous. I mean, Reiki is not in people's wheelhouse, a lot of people. And so I totally honor and respect that. But for the people I know, the people that, have been in my workshops and stuff like that, a place of a hand allows them to soften, go more deeply into the posture, taps into their own stillness. It's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing.
And so you practice and advertise teaching something called Holy Fire Reiki.
Yes.
So there are different kinds, different styles?
There are. The story I just told you with McCaochan and the other two, each one of them worked on an evolution of the energy, and the energy continues to evolve. And so you'll see people who practice angel Reiki, and you'll see people who practice, Usui Reiki, and you'll see people Holy Fire Reiki. Holy Fire Reiki is William Lee Rand's evolution of the energy. Holy Fire Reiki does tend to be warm, Holy Fire, right? But it does tend to be warm, but it is highly refined energy.
Is it refined energy or refined practices, or both? that might be
The practices are the same.
Okay.
You know, we're taught, you know, what William teaches is he teaches the hand positions of Mrs. Takata.
Right.
He teaches, you know, the scanning and this is the place for this, you know, ailment.
Right.
He teaches that as well. It's the energy itself
Okay.
that is refined.
Okay.
Yeah, the practices are pretty standard.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
so
wonderful.
pleased. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you all for joining us today. For more information on Karma Yoga's schedule, go to www.karmayoga.net. And for more information about Reiki, or to experience one of Patricia's classes, the Yin classes with the Reiki, or she's doing a workshop with a friend of hers on the 1st, I believe.
Of October, yeah.
Yeah, go to our website too. All the information is there, www.karmayoga.net. If this has interested you, she's available, and you should take advantage of it. So we very much look forward to seeing you in class, to seeing you at our workshops. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll give you the universal greeting, hands in front of the heart. And I heard a definition of namaste recently as my light digs your light. So namaste.
I love it. Namaste.